Hey everyone, my name's Maddie. I'm a 23-year-old competitive climber from Canada, currently living in Montreal. So today we are looking at the Blocbuster competition in Burlington, Ontario at Climbers Rock. So for those of you that don't know, Zach and I are actually originally from Ontario. We're currently living in Montreal, but we moved from Ontario just a year ago. And Blocbuster is the annual competition that Climbers Rock hosts. And Climbers Rock is actually the gym that Zach's parents own. So it's our family gym. So it's really, really cool to be back at this gym after quite a while and after moving away almost a year ago now. Blocbuster is one of those events that's like really hyped up in the province, and they haven't actually hosted one since 2019. And back in 2019, I was a completely different climber, and I would come in second at this event every single time. So I think it was like 3 years in a row I came in second every single time. So now that Blocbuster has returned, the field is very different than what it was 5 years ago, of course. But I'm still here. I think I was the only female returning finalist, so it was a very different field for me to be competing against. But I was really, really psyched to come back and try to finally tick that win on this event that has just been, in the back of my mind for years now. For me, I'm coming into my on-sighting phase of training. I'm still training fully for the IFSC season right now. So I haven't done any events since the Rosebud Championships in October of last year. So I've had November, December, January completely off, and this is my first comp back. I went to the high performance comp with Zach just to watch and then catch up with my coach who lives on the West Coast. And it was a terrible trip for me because I got food poisoning while I was out there. And I was on a rest week, and then as soon as I was supposed to start training again, I got food poisoning. So I took more days off, and then I was recovering from food poisoning for like a week. So I was not eating anything, and I took way too long of a break from climbing. So my January / beginning of February was pretty rough for me. So this comp was like right on the edge of like starting to feel good again, but still having some deficits from my 2 weeks of rest and my being malnourished for like a week there. So yeah, I wasn't like super looking forward to the event, and I wanted to be like, I really wanted to do this event, but like Zach was injured and I was like recovering, so it was a little bit stressful because like of course I want to perform well. It's just who I am. I can't help. Local comps, big comps, whatever it is, I want to always be at my best for those events, even if it isn't really in the midst of the training series, in the training season. So yeah, I was coming back from the food poisoning, but I was starting to feel better, and I think this was like a good showing. I think this was the first day where I was starting to feel myself again, and I was able to perform pretty well. The qualifier was a little bit easier than the final, of course. This is just a 5-on-5 off qualifier with 5 boulders, and 8 go to finals. And then the finals is a 4 boulder round. So what's interesting is this comp is using the new IFSC scoring, which is the 10 points for zone and 25 points for top, which is the same scoring they use for the Olympics. And then the only difference is that there is no attempts to zone matter. So if you get the zone, you get the full 10 points. But if you get top and have fallen before the top, you'll get 0.1 points deducted from your top for every fall. So again, zones don't take attempts off, but tops do. So it's a little bit of a different format, which I'm really psyched that this comp did it because it's good practice for the IFSC season coming up. So the qualifier went really well. I ended up in 3rd place with 2 falls on the first boulder. So a lot of tops flying around in the qualifying round, which was great to see because there were some like low percentage moves in that qualifier. So I think there was another member of the national team on the women's side at this event. And then there's some other really strong girls that were local as well. So yeah, it was super high top round and really got you prepared for the competitiveness of this final. So this first boulder here, what you just saw, I think is a beta break here. They were looking for one of those like jump and then stab hand, grab the jug and kind of like hold the swing. But I am the kind of climber that will lose skin immediately if I just do one too many attempts on maybe some fiberglass paddle or something like that. I'll bleed like with one attempt. So I looked at this boulder, it's brand new holds, and they're looking for a dynamic move. And, as a climber, I'm just trying to do whatever I can do to not have to do that. So when I got onto the first hold, I realized I could throw a sneaky heel hook onto the start foot or the start hand, and I was able to kind of bypass the move. But it was also still a very, very hard move that I did. But that did secure me a quick lead in the round. I don't think that boulder saw any zones on it. So my cheeky little heel hook actually kind of saved me there. And it saved my skin quite a bit for the rest of the round. Now, at this point now, we're at boulder 2, and I've finally taken a fall in the final round. So the anticipation of having flashed the first boulder, and you're almost waiting to fall at that point. I think about it that way. I finally broke the seal, so now I can be more comfortable, and I've fallen. I can now just get to work and start trying really hard. So this F2 here was pretty tricky, and it turns out it was extremely cryptic. So I was talking to Zach a little bit after this round, and he and I were both looking at this boulder, and when we both sequenced it, of course I sequenced by myself, with the other climbers in preview, but he sequenced it as an audience member, just filming me, and neither of us actually saw the intended beta. And I think what the setters were looking for here is, as soon as we're up to these last 2 yellow holds here, you're supposed to kind of jump out to these 2 little nubs on the volume and then keep going and paddle to the zone hold, which is that red taped hold on the left. And when I was sequencing this, I'm like, what is that hold doing there? I know it's the zone, but how am I supposed to use it? Because I thought you're just supposed to grab and hold the 2 little nubs on the volume. And so, unfortunately, I had a bit of tunnel vision here, and I was only trying to stick them. And a couple girls were able to get the zone. I think there was 1 top on this boulder, but I just did not make any progress on it. And it's a little bit cut off here as well, but you can see, you can't see, but there is a toe hook at the very beginning too, which is super hard to establish with. It's a really awkward toe hook. I'm drop kneeing, toe hooking. And sometimes I wasn't able to really hold it. So I'm already in an uncomfortable position, and then I'm trying to do the wrong beta basically. So yeah, I thought this was a really, really tricky boulder, very complex. I'm really actually happy that this was a boulder in the round, because it's such a high level for a local comp. And I love to see the level of the locals just improving every year. When I did Blockbuster back in 2019, it was not like this. It was a lot more straightforward, hard boulders still, great competition, but the level of 5 years away from this event and then coming back, having the sport evolve so much in that time, and seeing the setters get better and better, this boulder is just so complex, I thought. So yeah, I didn't get the zone on that one, but it's not over till it's over, of course. That was also the only vertical boulder, and I'm coming right off of my spray wall 45-degree campus, cycle. So I haven't actually done any on-sighting, and I haven't done any slab in quite a few months. So I was quite out of touch with that vert kind of climbing. And it just so happens the one vert boulder I just couldn't make any moves on. And that's totally okay at this point in my training cycle. But yeah, I'm kind of lucky that this is the event. This is my first event that I'm going to, because I'm still not quite into my on-sighting program because of the food poisoning that stopped me from training for a little bit. So this is my first taste of on-sighting. And luckily it's still overhanging. Most of this gym is very overhanging. So I was able to power my way through a bunch of the boulders and kind of ignore a little bit of the lacking of vert skills that I have right now. So that was a flash on boulder 3. And that one was also pretty tricky. I'd say that the establishing the start was the hardest move there, trying to catch the toe and then move on. I think because zones are worth so much, it's important that it is hard to get to the zone, but it's also important that it's even harder to get to the finish hold. Because again, you get the full 10 points if you get the zone. And so if too many people get the zone, they're going to end, but don't get the top, there's going to be a lot of ties. So we needed to make sure that not everyone got every zone, and there was a good amount of separation between the competitors, which I think they did really well. So this is half slab, but then it kind of goes into an overhang. So it was a mix because of the volume. But this one was really, really weird because the feet were placed in such a way that you can't really match feet on them. So you'd have to really plan out where you put your feet along the bottom. And that first attempt, I tried to almost dyno for the jug, the zone, with my feet crossed, which was really, really awkward. So on this next attempt, I had to do something kind of cheeky. And you can see I got this like little toe hook on the volume, and I just go and tap the start hold. And then I have my feet kind of more normalized there so that I can jump for the zone more naturally. And so it's like a higher percentage chance of getting that zone hold. And then the rest of the boulder, again, like we were looking at these boulders in preview, and we were not sure, how hard they were. They looked hard. We're not sure exactly what the beta was. So it was a lot of figuring out on the wall in this comp, which again is really, really great to have that at a local comp where you really genuinely don't know how to get to the top. And so this one was super hard. It's a completely dual text finish hold. And yeah, I grabbed it and I was like, there's no way I can hold that. So I had to throw the heel hook on. And luckily I was able to work that out. But yeah, it was a super, super hard round. And I was really, really pleased with the event. Both from like a performance standpoint, because I had all that food poisoning, but also because this is our home gym, our Ontario home gym. And it was really great to be back there competing. And honestly, like when it's been so long since the last event, you kind of forget how cool it was and how much fun you used to have at that event. And as soon as the finals started and the lights came on, and then the audience is there and it's in the exact same place they used to be. And, a lot of the same people are still there. We had the same MC that we had all those years ago, Tyler. Yeah, it was just, I was put right back into that moment where I remember all the Blockbusters I've done and all the finals I've been in and all the second places I've achieved. So with those 3 tops I had there, I was able to secure my very first Blockbuster win, which what made me surprisingly psyched. It's not the same field as it used to be. So like the win is a little different because it's not finally beating the people that kept beating you back in the day. But this event still is this event, and it still brings in the strongest in Ontario. So I was actually really, really happy to start my season off with such a high, winning at basically my Ontario home gym, and just like having just a good note to start the season off with. So yeah, we are fully into the season now. So I'm really psyched for the training to continue and more unsighting to happen and more confident comps coming up in the next few weeks.